we want to be today, Yanko? That is the question.
What's up? What's up, people?
What is going on this beautiful, joy-filled, for me anyway,
Summer
July
day,
Friday?
smoke-filled day for me because
Is
the
it
Canadian
Canada?
fires and all that. Yeah, smoke-filled day.
Yeah, well, it's funny because the other day, me and Nana both like the sun looked blood red, but I don't pay attention to the news. So I had no idea that we were being impacted by the Canadian wildfires. And then somebody later was like, yeah, the sun looks like that because of the smoke in the air. I said, nope, didn't know that, but thanks for the information. Good to know. But for anybody out there who is just catching this and have never caught it before, my name is Kerri Lewis, and alongside me is my amazing co-host Yanko. And we do this lovely live show every Friday called For No Particular Reason. And the reason it is called that is because the show really is about nothing in particular. We can talk about anything
Exactly.
and everything and nothing in between. And it's always a beautiful and wonderful time for me. So thank you, Yanko, for showing up and joining me every Friday to do this crazy thing we call life.
Likewise, it's very enjoyable. We've been doing that for almost 2 years now, and it keeps going, right?
And it keeps on going and going until it doesn't, which interestingly, so offline, you and I were discussing death, and it's been on my heart heavily this week. Anyway, something I plan to talk about because I experienced through third party 2 deaths this week. One was a 21-year-old who took his life by gunshot and was somebody that my oldest daughter knew and cared for. And then another was this lively, bright soul, maybe late 20s, who happened to die of a brain stem bleed that came out of nowhere, right? But I mean, talk about a stark contrast, right? One individual experienced immense suffering in their life to the point where they no longer wanted to be in this human experience, and the other experienced a vibrant, joy-filled, like just connected life and is no longer in his body. So it got me thinking, we really truly have no control. We just don't. The only thing we can control is our response to what we experience, because in doing
Exactly.
that, we at least get to choose the experiences more often than not that we're going to have.
Right. I mean, you're 100% on what we choose and how we choose to experience it, because more and more as you go inward within yourself, you come to realization, at least I come to realization, that life has no meaning and we give it meaning. So whatever experiences we had growing up, uh, we bring them back, and that's how we react. We don't even consciously react to different scenarios. Sometimes it's just automatic response to whatever happens.
Yep.
So yeah.
100%. And, for me in the work that I do, I continue to see, it's interesting because you and I live in a very paradoxical experience. And what I mean by that is you and me bear witness to the awakening of the collective consciousness, right? We're just talking about people, and to tune in for, like, I see people are much more open to having conversations about consciousness and stuff. And yet on the other paradox is I also see even more and more youth and young adults becoming disconnected from self and just numbing out and having no outlet to really take care of themselves, just totally living in this repetitive cycle of experiences that they've had, never giving themselves the opportunity to have a different experience. And so I witness it. And for me, my work really, my passion is to hopefully at least inspire somebody else to consider a different perspective. Because if you at least hear me talk about, okay, well, I suffer deeply, but I've also learned how to experience life joyfully and abundantly, then maybe somebody else could experience that. But so that's why I just found the two lives that transitioned within my awareness this week to be so universal, because God is so funny like that, in that I get to experience both this beautiful soul transition and then somebody transition from deep suffering.
There is levels into awareness where you recognize yourself in everything else. So if you're sitting in that kind of type of awareness, it's just like, here I am and now I'm gone, kind of like playing peekaboo with yourself, because you recognize that you're in everything, you're part of the whole, you're not this separate being that's having a separate experience. Although most of the people have that experience when they come to this time space or whatever you want to call it, just to experience that. And I was thinking of that the other day because I listened to a lecture, and that resonated with me, because when you in the high vibe, when you in the other side or whatever you want to call it, there's nothing going on. There's no, you can't have the experience, in even time space doesn't exist
It
for.
doesn't, because I can hours lapse in meditation for me, and I look up,
Right.
I'm like, what the fuck? It's this time. I thought it was like 8 in the morning. It's like 12:30. I'm like, oh, that's real talk.
Yeah, so when, in order for you to have the experience, you have to have this illusion of time space or something coming and going and having this whole separate experience. But in reality, everything is omnipresent and all time space in omni in every direction and every time. It's not a separate thing. It just gives you the illusion of that so you can have a experience. And again, if you're in this piece and you're like, oh, and you're in high vibe and nothing going on, there's nothing to push you to have an experience. So ideally, you separate yourself, you come down, you become this human, and you have human experiences.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I really thought that I would get to a point in awareness where everything would be bliss. I wouldn't experience, I don't know, people's anxiety or whatever is around me. And that is not true. In fact, I find I'm much more attuned to
Yeah,
everything than I ever was before. And so it really is a choice at that point, I think, to be in this human experience,
right,
because, and I was trying to explain it to a family member that last weekend, that, and we've talked about it. Sometimes I think it would be much easier to just go off in the woods and be out. Like, not because I don't enjoy life, but because I wouldn't be um absorbing all of the energy that's around me. And yet, at the same time, I also believe that I have an opportunity to embody love, which is my choice. And in doing so, I stay grounded in
right,
that love within the frantic energy that I sometimes experience from others.
right. I mean, everything it's an experience, and if you come to realization that you're not um, getting and mixing it with your, again, if you think you're having this your own vibration or whatever you think. There's levels to it, but you're already enmeshed in this. You
Of
already
course.
came down to this. So that's also another illusion of like, oh, poor me. I'm just gonna stay here and let everything else be out there, and I'll just watch from my safe distance and not react to whatever it's going on.
Well, I mean, people do. People absolutely do, and I've done a lot of studying about Kundalini movement simply because I've been very ungrounded lately. And I mean, I ground people. I go out, I do the things, but my energy is like, um, and it's not about poor me. It's what is it that I want or have the capacity to experience in this moment. And this
Mm,
is where boundaries come into play. And I really, really want to
right.
get clear on this because I know myself, and I know that for me, there are certain individuals that I choose not to be around right now, not because I'm making this individual a villain. They're not. They're beautiful. They're me. I'm them. But where I'm at in my own journey does not lend to me being grounded enough to want to be around that. And what I've been finding is, other people who don't understand that will just put me in situations. If I'm with them, they won't tell me that another person's going to be around. And so I have to be very clear, like, I'm not interested in doing life right now with an individual. And it's not because I am making up a story. There's nothing wrong with them. It's that it's for myself. It's for what feels good for me. I'm okay with doing what feels good for me, even if it doesn't make sense for other people. And I won't explain it. But I can also see from an opposite standpoint where that can feel very hard, like that comes off very harsh, but at this point I don't really care because I have to process the energy coming through me, and I want to do it in a way that feels good for me, whether it makes sense for other people.
Right, right, right. And that's part of the experience. When you're in a certain place, when everything is in your face, like you have your own things that are coming out and getting cleared out, and being around um, different situations could be overwhelming to the nervous system if your Kundalini energy, or not yours, it's not yours to keep, but anyways.
The energy that's moving through the channels in
Yes, the
my
energy,
body.
yeah, that's moving, because that's the universal energy that gives life to everything.
Yep.
Without it, there's just corpses. There's no animation, nothing. It's alive. In not only in human but in plants too. You just see a dead stem of a flower and nothing is happening. So, and in the Hinduism, they call it Shiva and Shakti. So, I mean, some people call it my Kundalini, or like my car and my apartment, and everything else. And sometimes I fell in that trap too. So I figure I bring it in, and but when that starts to happen, it could be uncomfortable because your nervous system rewires. So I know.
And look, I will be so honest. I am very intolerant right now, people. And I come from a lot of love, but intolerant in what I want to be around. It has nothing to do with the other person. It really doesn't. It has to be with what I want to be around.
Mm,
And so, and furthermore, for my own awareness as well, because I want to, like, for me, this energy is moving and it's releasing blocks, right? It brings you deeper connection with yourself. It lets you let go of old patterns of beliefs and behaviors. If I'm around other people who are operating from a lot of unconsciousness, right? Just unawareness of their patterns and behaviors. This is all it is. Uh, I may not be able to differentiate. And in fact, I'll keep it real. At my daughter's graduation party, whoo! I operated from some messy old patterns of belief, but it's fine because I was able to step back afterwards and be like, I see what happened there.
Yeah.
That's funny, you know.
I
But
mean, yeah.
but I could also hurt people who I don't want to hurt, right? Because it's messy. So I get to have that boundary and be comfortable in that boundary. And God love it. Thank God I have surrounded myself. The people who are closest to me can understand that and respect it.
To me, I give up on trying to like explain myself to people, or because sometimes people don't even want to understand like
They
what's
don't.
going on. Yeah.
I'll give you an
uh
example. Can I give you an example? I'm cutting you
yeah,
off
yeah, go
because
ahead.
that's a real.
No, that's okay. I
I have
mean,
a very close relative. It's a sibling of mine who every time I talk anything about energy or whatever, they cut me off. And they talk about the most random ass thing, a cup or somebody's sock or but here's the thing, right? They're so unconscious because I've actually had the conversation once with them. I'm like, you realize you do this. And they're like, oh no, I don't mind that you talk about that. But and I really believe, like, I believe that they mean it, but I also believe that they're not at that consciousness level where they can even ascertain what I'm saying. Like it has, so they cut me off. And so I really, for me, right, I had to work on not personalizing that because this is somebody who is an immediate family member of mine who I'm relatively close with. And I'm like, this is so not personal. This is so just their awareness versus mine. And they don't even have the capacity to register what I'm saying yet.
it's one time in 100%, when that comes out and that energy moves around and you're more aware of like what's going on, and times could feel like Groundhog Day because you keep seeing the same things that people do around unconsciously around you, and you feel like, wait a minute, I was in this situation. Like, am I having deja vu? Like, why am I having this again? Why are we having this conversation again?
Yep.
So that's one of the things that happens when you're more present, when you're more conscious of your surrounding. um, and not only that, you're noticing a lot of things. At least, like, I'm speaking of my experience, I can notice like different birds and trees, because before I was in the head too much, if I'm walking or doing something, thinking. Now all of a sudden, like, uh, consciousness can go different directions in my surrounding. Like, I can notice a raccoon sleeping in a branch that most people just pass by,
Yeah.
So
It,
life becomes a lot more vibrant. You got to have a lot more now. You got to have a lot more excitement because in your mind you're thinking, well, I've took this walk every day, and I know there is a curve and there's this, and I know the trees and everything else, but no, everything is different every time.
every time. Yep.
Yeah.
I go out on, I'm at Nana's house today and I go out on his back porch and I observe something different every single time I'm out there. And I'm talking about, it's like a 8x8 porch. It's small, like, but I could sit there and, experience a different bug that I've never seen before. The wind's blowing. I watch different trees, all different things, when you give
Yeah.
yourself permission to be aware. But I do really want to bring it back to what I originally brought up which is this idea of control for safety. And I really believe that people trap themselves in a state of suffering, perpetual suffering, trying to grasp or maintain some type of control over their life, like
Yeah. Because
particularly
it's
around the fear
familiar.
of dying.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because it's familiar.
But, with the two people who passed away this week, you know, it just served as a reminder for me. We really, really, really No matter what I do in my spiritual practice, I do not know when I'm going to cease to be in this body. No matter how well you eat, right? The healthiest person has been known to run a marathon and drop dead of heart attack. We just don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I encourage people, rather than looking to assert control, what brings you joy? Like, instead of focusing on how to control things, what's going to make you happy in this moment? Because it's really the only thing that's guaranteed.
And you're 100%. I know people that they were vegetarian, working out, everything, being in the gym, healthy lifestyle, and they walk in the main street at 20 or 21 and stop to look at the store and just die, you know?
Yep.
And then you never know when you're gonna go out. Um, I personally had three near death experiences, so now now it's just like when it's time, it's time.
Yeah.
So not really concerning anymore. But it's one of those things that your mind creates the fear of death and self-preservation. Your animalistic self that want to predict the future and not put you in situations where you might die or something else might happen. Um, but again, like anything else in life, it's just an illusion once you realize it. And we talk about that off camera before we started the show.
Yeah.
I share with you when I was in the back of the ambulance and I was dying, there was this thought going in the mind. um, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. But that was the identity being afraid of dying, and then realizing that, oh wait, I don't have control of how the body responds or anything. And the body was there was the sense of the body, it's beyond repair, it's just damaged. So at one point, that voice of like, I don't want to die, realized that it's not in control and there's nothing to do. And it was just like, oh, well, I'll do better next time.
Well, but so, like, think about it. Like, that sounds messed up, but it's so true. I mean, you and I have studied we've studied a lot of a similar path, maybe by different teachers, but
Right.
there's just so much narrative around surrender and letting go, but you can do that way before you experience yourself on the deathbed. Like, you can do that
Yeah.
in any moment. Like, every moment is an opportunity to begin again. And
Yep.
just giving yourself permission to do that over and over and over again. And for me, my life lived well will be just that. It's just going to be how often I died to my ego to just experience the present moment. You know,
Yep.
that's it.
Yep. There is a lot of practices. Some practices involve, you laying flat on the ground, closing your eyes, and imagining you're dying. You know, and that's real practice. Like,
Yep.
I think I've read it in one of the Osho's books of like 112 practices or something, or 112 paths to realization. Um, but yeah, and that's why some of those texts are saying that if you die before you die, you never die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I really love. And on that topic, people that are curious, there is a website called Dead Cafe, like coffee. You can Google it, and if you're interested, they have its organization that happens around, and they have every week different meetings where you can join in, discuss the topic of dying or dead, and it's wonderful.
Well, it's so funny. I think about, Nana and I both were kind of emotionally upset by the passing of one of the individuals. I mean, both, but one in particular just really moved us both. And, you know, what I would say is I want people don't do well with even having the conversation around death, especially in America, man. We have
Mm,
made death this big, scary,
mm.
crazy thing, and the reality is it's kind of like I'm gonna totally pivot here, but it has a point, right? So I bought
Go
a set
ahead.
of oh yeah, you know me. I bought a set of anal beads to use for massage, right? Like literally. And it was perfect. But I shared that and it was so appalling to people. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And I was saying, much like death, the topic of sex is like so taboo in America.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
two of the most common things throughout humanity in all ages. We
yeah,
generally speaking, we all have sex. I mean, some people are asexual, but for the most part, most of humanity, right? Sexual beings because we have that instinct to procreate. And second, we all die. We all experience people in our lives who die. Our body is forever dying to itself. Cells are dying. Skin is dying. Belief systems are dying. Experiences are dying. And yet, God forbid we actually talk about it. And people get really angry. And I'm just like, and even my closest loved ones, I can feel like they get so uncomfortable.
I mean, it's not one of the topics that people want to talk about because it's in their minds. It's something somewhere far far away in the future that it happens to other people, but it'll never happen to you. You know, kind of like smoking cigarettes. Oh, I'm gonna smoke, and cancer happens to other people, but I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah,
And trust me, I've been a smoker. I had the same experience of thinking the same thing, and I didn't quit because I was afraid or had the realization one day. It just like anything else, it runs its course, and there was realization that there was no need to do it anymore, and it was just like anything else, we do things to keep ourselves busy and occupied, busy work, because we're too afraid to sit with ourselves or to sit with our thoughts. I think
I love
that's
that you
what it
said
is.
that. Because so yesterday, Nana and I was driving Nana to his convention. And for like, I would say 3/4 of the trip, the two of us were just in silence. Like there was no music. There was just, he was doing his own thing in his head. But like, I love that. And I can't tell you how many people I share space with who feel the need to fill the space with noise if there's a monicum of silence in it.
And not only that, but to keep yourself. I That happens to me too. If there is just relaxation, there's this kind of like a urgency in the back of my mind saying, "Oh, but now you can be so much more productive. Like you can be going shopping, you can be doing this and that and this and that." And again, taking me out of the now present. And what's wrong with just being in the present? Um, and this is being programmed in society for people to be machines in work and be productive and do all these other things. And that's how I think of it. But in the reality, you're here, and that's good enough that you exist. If you didn't need to exist, you weren't going to exist in the first place.
Yeah. Well, so what would you say to the listening audience? What do you do when you catch that narrative running in the background trying to drive you to take action while you're present?
Well, it's
Because
just
that,
it's realization that is just a thought.
yeah,
Like I don't have to react on the thought. It's just something that the mind gives me, and I'm realizing more and more. I've shared that in previous lives that we did. That you what you consume in information becomes you, And you might not notice it, but if you observe yourself, you might notice repeating patterns or things that come about. Even in dreams, and this is why it's good to be grateful for the things that went good through your day before you go to sleep, to put your mind in ease so you can have a easy night of sleep, instead of thinking of tasks and things that you got to complete on the next day, because you fill your mind with those things and it's going to run on autopilot, and you're going to wake up or realize when you're dreaming that your mind was trying to solve the problems that you give it before you went to sleep, because you consume whatever you consume. If you
Yeah.
consume murder mystery on TV, well, guess what's going to happen when you go to sleep? Or,
I
horror
can't
movies.
even begin to tell you how often I share that with people. And I'm talking about highly anxious people. Kerri, I don't know why I'm so anxious all the time. And I'm like, well, what are you watching? Da, da, da. Oh no, it can't be that. I'm like, but it
Sure,
really is.
yeah.
Oh no, it can't be that. Or the greatest, well, it's everywhere. So like you can't escape it. Yes, you can. Yeah, yes, you can. You set up boundaries within your own choices
Yep.
and the people you're around, right? Like, for example, one of my family members is like obsessed with talking about politics. They're very biased, they have their very strong opinions, and the other side is a villain. Like they're horrible people. And every single time, hey, I'm not interested in talking about this. And they keep going on. You know what I do? I walk away. Peace. Love you. Made it clear I don't want to talk about it. I'm outie. And but people just don't realize, and so I watch them suffer from anxiety, feed the anxiety, suffer from more anxiety, feed it with more crap, suffer, feed, and that's what we do.
But here is the reality though. You have the right to have no opinion. You always can sit in the middle
Yeah.
and not join the one side or the other side of the duality of things. And being in the present gives you that ability, because you can see both sides and decide if you want to take the one side or the other side, which usually will make you suffer because you go with the one direction or the other instead of being in the middle. And it doesn't give you the opportunity to see it as a almost like an outsider, where you just kind of step back and you look at both views and you say, hmm. And you don't say, oh, it's good or bad or whatever.
You
Yeah.
know, for me, my practice in that, sometimes I'll do that, but sometimes I just don't. I'm like, broken racket. I've heard this 459,000 times. I really don't care. And so I leave. But I always operate from the assumption I'm open to whatever is for the highest good of all. Simple as that. And then I don't have to make a choice, because
Yep.
if it's
Yep.
unfolding,
Yep.
it's going to unfold for the highest good anyway, whether I
Yep.
have an opinion about it or not. So why have an opinion, you know?
And that brings me into the other thing, that you might be in an environment when you're mirroring the other person, and you might not be something that it is you that you're projecting. It might be about them, and you might just reflect their beliefs in do it. Sometimes I do
You're so
that.
funny.
I mean, it's fun though, because it spices things up. If you get somebody that it's stuck and you realize they're stuck because you're seeing the same pattern repeats and repeats and repeats, you got to break the pattern and give him some alternative or something else to get him out of that like loop. First of all, because for one, for me, it's like Groundhog Day, not fun at all. I might just sit and watch it repeat, repeat, repeat. But on one point, I'm like, how can I make this more fun?
Okay,
So,
Rusty.
yeah.
I don't know, Rusty's on. I'm just saying.
Easy. I don't know. And I'm not seeing any comments today.
But the point is Rusty certainly likes to spice things up in life too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Again, and some people do that by giving them alternatives, like say, um, if you're scratching constantly your hands, and you're scratching it in the palm here, and that's becoming something that happens on unconsciously, or whatever you do it, you might say, well, why don't you scratch it on the top? That's also something that you do, kind of like drinking coffee. But if you don't want to drink coffee, you can drink tea. You're still doing the drinking, but you're doing something else to get you out of the loop from
Yep.
that repeating pattern or whatever you're doing. So sometimes I do that,
Yeah.
but depends on the mood.
But that's exactly it. It's interesting. So I take a 5:15 in the morning spin class on Fridays, and then I take spin classes over the weekend that are later in the day. And I realized this morning, I'm like, at 5:15, my pattern is to sit as far in the back as possible. One, I always like I'll sit here and pray, and I do my own like I sometimes follow the instructor, sometimes don't do what I want. Um, but then
Most
the
people
lady,
don't.
what?
I'll share an experience. Most people don't. I'll share experience, but to finish your thought.
Well, so my 5:15 class, I'm more likely to be highly antisocial in the back. I'm just like, don't talk to me. Like, let me get my workout in. I dragged my ass up at 4 in the morning. Here, happy to be here, but don't want to be friends. But then change it 2 hours, fast forward 7. I'm up in the front, I'm chitty chatting away, and I just laugh. I'm like, it's so funny how I'm aware, but how quickly we fall into like these behaviors, and we think that we don't, but we do. Even me, and I'm pretty aware of my choices.
Yeah. I was going to share that me doing guided meditation sessions or guided hypnosis sessions with people, sometimes people do their own thing. And it's not something that I can control. I can set the stage and everything, but on the end of the day, everyone decides where to go, what to do, and all that. Because freedom of will and everything else. And plus, at the beginning, you kind of need somebody to guide you because you don't know how to get to that space in yourself. But once you get kind of comfortable and you know your way around, like, I don't need anybody to relax me and get me in this. I just close my eyes and go deep as much as I
Yep.
want. And you can keep telling me about the stars and the clouds and sound waves or whatever you want. I'm just gonna be so deep somewhere else and enjoy myself as much as I want.
It's so funny that you say that. Jamie, who we've had on our show a couple times, took me through meditation. I did exactly that to him. I went so deep. I had no idea he was talking to me. He hung up and was gone for like 40 minutes. And I came back and he had texted me and he was like, yeah, you were gone. And
You're okay.
but I was
But
happy. I
this
was
this is
blissed
the
out.
yeah. I just figure I'll share with some people so they know that it's something that totally happens and it's normal. Even if you do group sessions with other people, and yeah, I usually end without bringing the people back. I give them time and I say, when you know you're ready and your deeper mind knows that you're ready to come out, you can do it
Yeah.
then, but not before. So enjoy the time yourself. And they just usually just, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's whatever I'm in the mood for, but generally speaking, I only half listen to my exercise teachers at spin. I'm like, yeah, I'll do some of it, and then some of it I'm not going to do any of that. I don't want to. And it's so funny
Well,
because I watch Ego come out and they're like, come on, you can do this, just 2 more minutes. And in my head, I'm like,
of
fuck
course.
you, bitch, I ain't doing none of that. And I know I can do that. And I know they're
I
trying
had a
to get me.
similar.
I know they're trying to push the class, but I'm like,
Right,
I
right,
don't
right,
have to
right,
do
right, right,
nothing.
right.
I
Right.
can get
Yeah,
off
yeah,
this bike
yeah,
and leave
yeah.
if I want.
I mean, ultimately, you go as far as you want to go, and nobody can, make you do anything you don't want to do. I had a similar experience. I went to an integral yoga class, and we did some stretching and other things, and in the end, they did this like a cockroach. You're laying in your back, and your hands are up in your legs, and you're like just getting tired, with your muscles tired, and kind of the same thing. Going around the instructor, and it's like, come on, you can do it, people. Like,
Yep.
and you see through the room. Some people do, but some people are like, no, this is the max I'm capable of, or the muscles of this body can hold up so much. I'm not in a great shape, or whatever, or this body, it's not in a great shape.
Yeah. Well,
um,
that's my thing. And this is where I encourage people to learn themselves, right? I am uh, I'm relatively fit, right? Like I work out 5 times a week. I sometimes eat like shit, but my muscles can sustain me for a good amount of time. But I've experienced life. I've been in car accidents. So I navigate my body differently than somebody else. So I actually listen to my muscles. Like this isn't about what the instructor's saying
yep.
or me achieving my max heart rate. It's really truly listening to my body, being present with my body. What can I do? And I see people injure themselves because they're so focused on appeasing the instructor or
Right.
showing up their friend with how much weight they can press that
Right.
they've never listened to what their body is telling them they're capable of. And even if, and I love this about Nana too, because Nana has a lot of muscles, and so many people are under this illusion that he presses heavy, heavy, heavy weight regularly. He can press heavy weight, but it's rare that he does because it's never been about how many pounds I can press. It's maintaining physical ability to take care of
Right.
myself long term. It's not about maxing out the rep and stuff. And so I really encourage people again, this idea of, you know, trying to achieve somebody else's expectations for you, fuck them. Like I say it all the time. If you don't like what I'm doing, oh well, like this is what feels good for me in any moment. Like, and that's an important place to get to because then you minimize injuries or mental health struggles because you're not forcing yourself outside of what feels good for you.
It can work both ways. That's the thought that I get. Like the same way you're operating, some of the coaches might operate and say, "Well, if you're not ready to put up the work or put up with me pushing you, don't even become my client or
Oh,
whatever."
and I
And
love
people
those.
might get, and people get intimidated and might do that kind of stuff. But you 100%, because if you don't know your body, and you been out of touch for long, if the muscles are weak on a one group or another, and if you're doing insulated exercises, other supporting muscles might struggle to support the muscles you're doing, and that's how you injure yourself. Not that I'm a pro, but that's what I observe when I work on myself in working with myself.
Yeah.
um, so listen to your body. um, it's the only one you have now in this lifetime. Support it, nurture it, and you'll be okay. It'll tell you what foods you need, and what its cravings, when you need to relax, when you need to nap, all those other things. It works great, at least for me. I don't know.
Was that always the case? Because for me, until my
No, not
late
always the case.
yeah, until my
Yeah,
late
no.
20s, I was so disconnected from my body. And this is where people don't realize, but I find, and this is true for me, before my thinking mind can ever register what's unfolding, my body responds. Right? It really does. It responds to the energy. Our body is like just absorbing, like it's very intelligent. But because we've been so conditioned to think we've disconnected from our bodies. So many people are out of touch with their body. And luckily, there's so much more evidence around fascia, all of the like material that covers your muscles, that retains trauma and stuff. So people are starting to get a fundamental understanding how connected your body is. But most of the people I know, and myself included for many years, just was so out of touch with my body. I had no idea, what it needed or how it was responding to everyday environment.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think it's more of a mental gymnastics to give your body, your mind, some kind of ideas or knowledge to be able to control things, to feel more safer, to like, oh, like I have this knowledge of how to work out, or oh, I know that margarine it's better than butter or lard, or oh, I know what's better to eat, or like oh, maybe vegetarian food it's going to be the best thing to do because you read it somewhere and you're totally disconnected. Everyone is different. Everyone has a different genes. Depends on where this body or gene was originated. For example, if you're somewhere in the frozen lands when there is nothing but seal meat and clams or whatever you're eating, because it's frozen year round, you think you're going to become a vegetarian and you're going to eat bananas and tomatoes all the time? Is not going to happen. That's in your gene. Your grandparents were living, lifetimes and lifetimes and figured the body. And now, just because we can move around the world and go in different environments, we think we know everything. I think that's how I see it. I just see it as a mental gymnastic. You give your brain something, and it's like, oh, good idea. Oh, now I know. I can experiment with this, and who's the one who knows, anyways?
Real talk. But your
Yeah,
body
yeah.
still absolutely, I look at irritable bowel disease, autoimmune diseases, a lot of digestive system issues. I experienced so much tightness in my body for so long. I could see where I would have had those issues if I stayed that way chronically. And so again, your body will tell you what it needs. It's just learning how to listen and not worrying about how you look to the outside person, because they're not going to be able to help you at the end. Even though you nailed it, right? You take people into altered states of consciousness. I work with individuals to examine belief systems, behaviors, and habits. Neither you nor me can ever make an individual who we get the privilege to share life with for whatever time do anything that they don't want to do.
Exactly. But here's another observation that I've been blessed to be able to watch how my son grows. And, you know, he'll go in the playground and totally stop being aware because he gets so into the play that he's doing. So he'll might bruise his legs or hands or whatever because he's in this like a la la land. Um, and then there's nothing attached to it because the ego is not yet completely formed. So when I look at him and say, "Well, where did you hit your legs? Where's this bruise comes in?" And he just kind of looks at me and he doesn't. Sometimes he doesn't even know, and he goes like, "What bruise?" And I'm like, "This in your leg." Then he goes like, "I don't know," and it's just like disconnect from whatever.
Yeah.
So that gives me a little more food for thoughts of like, okay, if you're like the little kid, like in the Bible say, until you become like a little kid, being totally present, no ego involved, not formed yet. Would you even care about this? And, you know what I mean? Looking at like what's happening with him, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Yeah. So I don't know.
I
It's
don't
just
know.
more. It's just more mental gymnastics. more for the mind to make ideas and stories about. You know.
Food for thought. Food for thought.
I mean, it's great because as a creators, we also have the ability to create with our thoughts, and thoughts become things, and not that they're bad or anything, but like it's also appreciated to have thought, fantasies and other things. So
Well, 100%. Otherwise, we would just exist in a bubble. Okay, good. Sorry, I just had to make sure I wasn't cuckoo banana pants. I
oh,
mean,
I
I
thought
am
somebody.
banana pants.
Sometimes you bring chats from Instagram. So I was thinking like maybe somebody
Yeah,
said
no.
something and you were
Um,
checking it.
nope. I just, the back of my head drove my action.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
What else you got? Anything before we say c'est la vie?
Nothing really comes to mind. I'm sure other things will come to mind because, mind likes to do things and gives you ideas and, entertain you and keep you busy and productive and learning things. And, oh, only if I knew this, then I'll be a better human. So,
Yeah.
but
I
right
got
now,
nothing
it's
either.
kind of nice. So, yeah. Well, let's wrap it off. Thank
Let's
you
wrap it
guys for hanging with
up.
us.
We
Go ahead.
appreciate you.
Finish as the
Emery
usual
and
thing.
Max, you are always welcome to join. I feel like we've offered that to her a couple times and she reaches out and I either never followed through or whatever. Well, if it's meant to be, it will be. And if it's not, it will not. We shall see. Until next week, baby, we're out of this place. You see.
Exactly. And people, chat with us, interact, send us your thoughts. Join us until next time.